ladies, gentlemen, all the young people, on behalf of the chairman and the members of the County of Salop Steam Engine Society, we are so pleased to see you here, and I am sure you are having a most enjoyable day. We've had no control over the weather this year, but somebody's looking down upon us, and we have this wonderful weather to present these engines. Well, what can one say when you see this? It is engineering from the past. And I'm one of these people who believe that we should never forget our past, but we shouldn't live it. We should look at it and see that we can learn from it and move forward. And you may say, well, these are old-fashioned steam engines, but there's so much of the engineering on that can be brought into modern mechanical engineering, like with motor cars and what have you. We do at times try to reinvent the wheel, and it does cause problems, but today we are presenting to you true great British technology from probably 150 years. So good to see it. And our young people around here, I'm sure you will wonder what it's all about, but these are the forerunners of your modern commercial vehicles. The smaller ones, probably the forerunners of your motor cars. So we have it all here. And of course, around the site, we have the various earlier 20th century vehicles, the cars, the bicycles, and the motorbikes, and tractors, just to name but a few. So we have a wonderful display, in my opinion. I've been told that. And we're going to do something a little bit different today. I think we could be the first event in the country to have a fanfare. And we're going to have a fanfare to herald the start of our 2019 event. So music, gentlemen, please, the fanfare. wondrous sight of engines now resplendent made from years of harbouring in the shade. They came from yard and field or wood, and in their twilight silence stood, with rusting motion and boiler cold. It was for scrap that they were sold. Then in the summer's sweltering scorch, their end it was, the furnace torch. But some from this grim fate were taken, the slumbering giants gently awaken. With lavish care from owners new, they are but now the chosen few, that represent a lost great power, which we present to you this hour. For these are the engines of an era long past, built by the men whose skill was to last. They made them strong to give their best. In aging years they do not rest. They still drive on with fiery soul and beating heart that scorns control, with burnished limbs of shimmering steel and throb and pulse of circling wheel, with shining paint and polished brass. All other machines they did surpass. But for all this grace and beauty, they were made for man's duty, hauling with ease the team's former loads up and down the country's roads. Others were the sons of soil, from ploughing to thrashing they eased the toil. Then came the showman with engines so grand, each thought his the best in the land. Yet with the brass and electric light, there came the strength to move the sight. This was part of their calling to man. But what of the homes where they began? Charles Burrell of Thetford, the true Norfolk breed, while Ransoms and Garretts were Suffolk seed. Next came Lincoln, its four famous sons, of Roby, Clayton, Foster and Rustons. Marshals of Gainsborough in that same shire, they made engines for all to admire. Then in Cheshire, the land of salt, Fodens were built with never a fault, but with pride the county of Salop made their sentinels go with a gallop. Further north in the city of Leeds, Fowlers and McLarens sufficed the needs. From the Garden of England a rampant horse, Aveling and Porter ran the course. Wallace and Stevens with sprightly 5-ton, Taskers nearby would give it a run. These are a few of the famous breeds, all working the purpose of man's needs. And now to you this hour we bring these engines for these praise to sing. With shrieking whistle and vapour cloud, their aim is now to please the crowd. So let us salute these machines from the past, built by the men whose skill was to last. They made them strong to give of their best. In aging years, they do not rest. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you will agree with me. What a wonderful display. And I hope you've all bought a programme, because the only way we can add a little bit more information is by taking the numbers. Number 1, the Foster Scenic Road Locomotive, the leader. Bill Hunt, bless him, has supported us again. And this engine, though it says it was new in 1921 to Pat Collins, not quite true. It was originally supplied to John Whiting of Sheffield, and for some reason it went back to Foster's, completely rebuilt, given a new number, and Pat Collins bought it. Last used to haul those in 1957 for the Goose Fair, and the last long run was way back in '64, when it actually took loads down to the White Wall from Steam Fair. Another old favourite of ours, the Burrell Showman's Endurance, owned by the Crane family now. Sadly, Len was called to hire service some years back, and originally built as a normal road locomotive, and as it says in your programme, it was purchased into Showland. Wallace and Stevens at Basingstoke converted it into the Showman's fittings, and it cost £60 in 1933. Incidentally, the last Showman's built by Burrells was 4092 Simplicity for Mrs. Deakin down at Bryn Mawr in South Wales. She was actually built at the Leaston factory. Number 3, another Burrell Showman's, Dreadnought. We thank Mr. Frank Lithgow for being with us. She was built 1909, which we said for Hollands, and was acquired by Frank some years ago, coming by a gentleman in Nottinghamshire. Burrell Philadelphia, a new one for us. She was built, as we said, 1912, and between 1904 and 1921, Burrell Thetford built 21 similar engines owned by Alistair Evans and family from up at Bishop's Castle there. Fowler Sonny Boy, it was originally supplied to Marshall and Sons of Bradford for their switchback ride, then went on the Dodgems. 1939 it was requisitioned for war work, and was by Walter Denton at Hyde in Lancashire, or is it Cheshire? Bit on the border, that one. And it's now, as we see, back in wonderful preservation as it is. Burrell Showman's road locomotive. Some of you remember seeing Rajard come here. That was the sister engine. Worked for Bostock and Wanwell, their travelling menagerie. And they was always said that Rajard and Nero were the finest finished road locomotives in Showland. The bit that always has caused a certain amount of amusement is on the sideboards, Bostock and Wanwell's gigantic combination. We know some old ladies were rather offended by this in Victorian and Edwardian times. Of course, it would be the Edwardian times. The Garrett tractor Might Atom, First World War, served in the various activities in this country. Converted them back to a Garrett Showman style, and we love to see it here today. Named after the lightweight boxer, since in your programme. The Garrett Showman's tractor Henry, she spent her working life in Belfast, where the Titanic was made, and we know that 1966 it did have the show fittings put on. Number 9, the Aveling and Porter engine, a Billy Boy. How did Aveling and Porter manage to sell a steamroller to the North Riding County Council when Fowlers and even Greens in Leeds were making engines? Then the Fowler engine, the Yorkshire Belle. Can't say too much about this. She was built 1916, not 1906. Received show fittings in preservation in 1999. And again, a regular performer here, the Crane family Len's pride and joy, the late Len's, the Fowler B6, the Wolverhampton Wanderer. Absolutely superbly turned out. Spent all its working life with John Thompson's, the Boilermakers at Wolverhampton. Sadly, the Chief is a little bit under the weather and it is not with us. Parish announcement in the moment. There's a caravan parked with a dog in it which is getting very, very distressed. Was it DKOW DK07RW? There's a caravan there, DK07RW, with a dog in it which is getting very distressed. We do have ways. Thank you for telling us. Fowler, a couple of lovely ploughing engines we've got here. We've got Linky, typical of the ploughing engines that were built by John Fowler, certainly just before the turn of the century, 1900, then afterwards. Spent all its working life on the Romney Marshes. 1917. The War Office ordered 208 of similar engines. We welcome Ruston and Hornsby, quite a late one here, Hildry, Colin Brothwell and family, and then Sprigg. You'll notice that, John Bosworth from Ilkeston, got the World War I tank on the smoke box ring plate. The Ransom Sims and Jeffries at well-known firm at Ipswich still makes ploughs, or their successors do. Attended the 1961 Church Stretton rally as Salopian. Spent all its working life thrashing and at one time had a crane on it, but nice to see Roger Proud with it. Number 17, a little bit different. It's an American advanced direct ploughing engine. They deviated from our designs. And it's not 7 nominal horsepower as your program, it's 20 brake horsepower. This was made at Battle Creek in Michigan. Now then, another interesting one, number 18 in your program, the Fowler Road Locomotive Foremost. It will be turned out exactly as it looks today from Burrell's Works, Fowler's Works, for the Openshaw furniture removal and other works at Reading. Beautifully polished, all the fancy work on it, and we know that it was requisitioned in the First World War and sent to France. After that, we know nothing, except she was found in southern France by the late Richard Wilcox and came back here in 2008. We certainly know it was in the army because we've had traces, Joe and Laura Walker have, of the green paint. How did it survive in France? How was it that the Germans didn't obtain it and use it? One of life's mysteries, we have a lot of them. Number 16, Alan Painter, with his half-size Fodens. Fodens were, first wagons were built about 1900. Number 20, Ian and Stuart Calder, their late father, Jim, acquired the engine in the early 90s, researched its history, and it is restored exactly as it would have been when it left the Foden works. Number 21 is another one of these wonderful Fowler Road locomotives, the B5, a little bit smaller, and we know engines similar to this would be hauling road trains in the South African War to get the guns of the Royal Naval Reverse to various places where the conflict was going on. Got the Marshall traction engine here. It's new to Isaac Ball, one of the first ones they had. Had a bit of a checkered career, but it is now in the capable hands of Alexander Hayward and Anthony Coles, and some of you probably know Anthony from television. Senior Curator of Rolling Stock at the National Railway Museum. And then number 22, the lovely little McLaren engine belonging to Steve Arrowsmith. Son Chris is looking after it. This worked, as we said, till 1963, and fortunately it survived by means devious or otherwise. And one day in its early parts of preservation it was known as the Little Wonder. But I've got a feeling now, for many, many years, it's acquired the name Sweet Pea. Then number 24, the lovely Fowler traction engine Elsa in that distinctive blue livery. Marshall Traction mascot went to a haulier in Ipswich. You know, they beat ransoms to get in the business. Used in the war efforts. Then it was sold to a showman at Derby, and in late 1920 he died. It was returned and converted to a roller for Messrs. Bridgeton's at Neston, the road repair people, and it's been in the present owner's family for a number of years now. This was the late Mike Thomas, and his son Heth and the family now use it. And just to complete this section, number 26, the Wallace and Stevens Simplicity Roller. We've got one or two Wallace with us, 3 tons. One of about 16 built, mainly for the Far Eastern market. 6 are known to survive today. And Mike Salt, well known for his wonderful restoration work he does on buildings, presents it here today. Actually took part in the 25th road run from Church Stretton to Bishop's Castle. Now we've come to that part of the programme, and we've got to be a little bit careful what we're doing now. We do what we call the Shrewsbury Shriek. And first of all those of you around the arena and on the engines, will you please put your fingers in your ears? We don't want any damages there, but this has become tradition and we want to safeguard your hearing. And gentlemen and ladies on the engines, 10 seconds only, or thereabouts, and without any more to do, can we have the traditional Shrewsbury Shriek? Thank you. Indeed, thank you. That's absolutely superb. And you know, the Road Traffic Act says every road vehicle has an audible form of warning. That is still legal today. Another engine which is so well known here, the Milnes family from Ellesmere, Steve Rosemary and Doug and Ken, Lady Hesketh. This was the one I broke some years ago, but that's another story. And she's been attending rallies here for many, many years. Purchased by the present owners, as we said, 1976. Lovely to see it here. Little Dorothy is not here, it's at home, and it is not poorly, as I said yesterday. A little bit of misinformation. And then the number 29 is a Burrell General Purpose engine. Sold new to, as we said in the programme, to Fylde Council, and this was an engine that was called a convertible, but Burrell's marketed it as a traction cum roller. They only sold 7, so it wasn't really a good idea. And Alistair Evans' family again from Bishop's Castle with the lovely 1908 Burrell single crank compound. Built, as we said, 1908. Burrell Road locomotive, another one of those great machines, Empress. What more can I say? I've told you what the Fowlers did and the Burrells did the same. A lot of work done on this to get it here. At one time it had showman's fittings, but these were removed. Dave and Susan Cope have brought along a lovely little Fowler type T2 tractor. Supplied new, as we said, to Oliver Partington in Glossop, and it's been absolutely superb. Lovely to see it here today. Fowler A9 road locomotive, another one of the big boys, built 1919, that is Ajax. Sadly, the Earl of Dudley is in port. poorly, will not be with us. Number 35, the Foster Traction Engine Independence. This was supplied through the Atlas Foundry in Shrewsbury, which were the Foster agents, and it eventually came back into the county this year. Just to be seen, this is its one term only, this lovely borough. Its sister engine at the same farm, which is an even more, and it's not got a programme number, but it's the Foster registration AW9434, works number 12458. This went to Mr. Timmis at Forton West Farm, Montford Bridge. He purchased 3 Fosters, and about 1954 it ended up at Bloxwich and West Bromwich by Peter Hoff. Now, whether he acquired it direct or not, we're not sure. Now, the story has it that it's never been to an event. Well, it has. 22nd of June 1969, Bloxwich Carnival, just outside Walsall. We had a mini rally which I had the privilege of commentating at, and it came to it across a main road and over the fields because it was not road legal. Peter used it virtually every day for cutting wood, which he sold, and for his log burner. So it is lovely to see it here. It's come back home. We have another Wallace and Stevens Peddler. This was one that went out to Turkey at one stage, came back, started the First World War, and we see it here today. And then we have a big, big welcome. The Wallace and Stevens Maymar spent all its working life in the Isle of Man, and it was acquired by the late Bill Briggs. Bill was a great steam man, a great guy, a great friend, and Bill acquired it, and he spent from 1982 to 99 restoring it, and it's thanks to his widow Irene Briggs that's allowed it to come over, and can I thank Andrew and his team that are acting as custodians. Then we have a series of Aveling steamrollers, Aveling and Porter from Rochester, Rona there, dismantled in a barn for many years, and we see it back together. Number 40 in your programme, Odin, After the Gods, an 8-ton D-type, 1927, with the rampant horse on the front. And yet another Wallace and Stevens. This is the Shadbolt family, the big 8 nominal horsepower, and we believe it's the only particular one of its type in existence. Used for thrashing and tree pulling in World War II on airfield construction. Then we have 3 steam cars, Ian Sparks, David Goddard, Gareth Jones. Stanley's the American steam car producers. Really the end came with the introduction of a self-starter on the early motor cars. And Marshall Portable Florence, acquired originally preservation by the late Ted Jones, worked all its working life in Welshpool in a large woodland, and Mr. Wilding used it there for many, many years. So I said the late Ted acquired it, and it was acquired new to David who's looking after it now, Ted's son, maternal great-grandfather. Marshall Agricultural, number 46, the proud Salopian, owned for many, many years by Bill Sambrook from Sambrook in Staffordshire, just there, Staffordshire-Shropshire border, ably assisted by that wonderful character Bill Allman, and it was named Sambo, nothing to do with the present day connotation of political correctness. That's what Bill was known as. We do know now number 46, the Tasker steam tractor. Taskers of Andover built 334 of these between 1902 and 1928, and new to Dundee City Council. We have a little bit of more work to do on this. We believe it was supplied as a full tractor, but As these were also convertible, we've a little bit more digging to do on that. Oberon, King of the Fairies, acquired for preservation by the late John Crowther, and then by Brian Ellison and family. In 1986, they took it to the Isle of Man and did the TT course in 8 hours, 14 minutes, 9 seconds. Said they would be quicker if they had to stop at the pub. That just about sums it up. And then the little Fowler tractor, the first one with